Hi all! Season 2 of Our Flag Means Death is officially over, and part of my recovery plan is talking about it so I can process it. This show is not for everyone, but I'm obsessed with it, and it has consumed my every waking thought since March 2022. It's like they made it for me personally. They saw me and said, "You've been having a rough time, so this one's for you, you lovesick pirate-loving bitch." Now let's talk about Season 2. It completely destroyed my sleep schedule. I was too anxious to sleep the night before and full of adrenaline the night after. But they kept us very well fed in between episodes. We had production stills and behind the scenes footage and all sorts of things. So yeah, it's been a busy month. I was honestly giggling and kicking my feet every time Ed and Steed were on screen together. There were times when I had to pause it and just run laps around my room because I was so happy. They had so many great moments. At times I thought I hallucinated the whole thing because it just seemed too good to be true. I mean, the merman sequence, the you wear fine things well callback, breakfast in bed, running into each other's arms mid-battle. I thought my poor heart was going to burst. And Steed's love letters to Ed were so romantic. When they both read the "we wrote our names on each other in permanent ink" line. Soulmates right there. Soulmates. It's such a soft, tender, pure, intimate and sweet love story. And I would honestly take another full season of just those two being cute and domestic together. Overall, what I enjoyed most were the scenes with the whole crew together and the scenes with Ed and Steed being happy and in love. The whole thing was just pure comfort. It felt like a hug, it felt like a warm blanket, and this is exactly what I needed. They also gave me a few gorgeous shots of the Revenge, and I really appreciate that because I love ships. And I think the scene in the final episode where they all wear the British uniforms was just epic. I mean, why did they all look so good? It was amazing. 10 out of 10, no notes. Now onto the, maybe criticism is too strong of a word, so onto the things I didn't necessarily love. I will unfortunately have to mention the cursed P word, the pacing. I was actually okay with the pacing until episode 5. Yes, things moved fast, but it felt okay to me. Now, episodes 6, 7 and 8 were intense, and I felt like so many things were happening at once that you didn't have time to process your thoughts or emotions, but it does get better with every rewatch. Also, I know that this might be an unpopular opinion, but I do think that having multiple writers can be a double-edged sword. On the one hand, everyone can bring their own life experiences and fresh ideas and diversity in the writing room, which is absolutely wonderful. But on the other hand, it might lead to some actions or lines seem, if not out of character, then just a bit off. I can't quite put my finger on it, but some things just didn't click for me. The writers and the fans love these characters, but we all have our own versions of them in our heads. And with multiple writers, you run the risk of those versions not being that similar at all times, if that makes sense. Which brings me back to the pacing issue. I think that since they knew they had less episodes this season, 8 rather than 10, they perhaps shouldn't have included that many new characters or spend that much time on scenes that didn't really add anything to the story. I also noticed that many characters were dropped. We knew we had lost Ivan, and then the Swede stayed with Spanish Jackie, and Buttons turned into a bird, and other characters were missing from scenes or even entire episodes. I know this was probably due to budget cuts, which is the entire reason why they had less episodes this season and why they had to film it in New Zealand rather than LA. So yes, I noticed that, but it didn't bother me too much because I was focused on the main relationship. But I'm glad they filmed it in New Zealand because it looks great and I think all the departments did an excellent job. Lastly, I would say that overall, compared to the first season, this one seemed perhaps too dark and angsty. I love the fact that they didn't drag out the reunion. There was so little time and I just wanted to enjoy my silly little rom-com. I was stressed until the last minute of the final episode. I was worried that something else was going to happen and ruin things again. I was worried that it was going to be like Pirates of the Caribbean all over again. You know, one day ashore, 10 years at sea, keep a weather eye on the horizon and all that jazz. Or even worse, right person, wrong time, therefore we have to break up, which is a trope I hate. I completely understand why they had to dial back the comedy, especially in the first few episodes, but goodness, they didn't have to make it that dark. I suppose I'm just a hopeless romantic that wanted things to be easy for them. I completely understand and respect the story they're trying to tell, but sometimes I just miss how easy their relationship was in the first season and how light-hearted the whole thing was. Now, in terms of my hopes for season 3, the main thing for me is to see Ed and Steed happy together. That whole retirement and business thing has been foreshadowed heavily in both seasons, and we do indeed see them staying behind to become innkeepers at the end of the second season. I know David Jenkins has said in multiple interviews recently that they're not going to be good at being innkeepers and they need to work on their relationship, and the question now is, can we make this work? I understand that, but at the same time I'm watching things to escape reality, and fictional relationships don't need to be 100% realistic. I do want to see that happily ever after, but I suppose the fact that they killed off Izzy made me realise that things can take an unexpected and devastating turn. I'm not sure I want to see more miscommunication and fights and breaking up and leaving each other again in season 3. I want them to have their happily ever after, and I want things to be as easy as possible for them. I just crave softness, intimacy and true love, I suppose, and I do want them to get married at the end, because we all saw the look that Ed gave Steed at Lucy's and Pete's wedding, and all I have to say is that that boy has picked a ring, outfits and colour of flowers. Also, David Jenkins still owes us those pet names he promised. I know that we had one in the first episode, but it doesn't count because it was a dream, and we had one in the last episode, but I would like more variety, so I'll be here waiting. Lastly, in terms of episodes, minimum 10 to 12 episodes, minimum 40 minutes each. It's not going to happen, but let a girl dream. In summary, I'm very happy with the second season. I think I liked it more than the first one. I don't know if this is the excitement talking because we got new episodes after such a long time, but I genuinely enjoyed it and there were so many great moments. I love how the relationship is becoming more mature and solid, and I loved all the scenes with the crew together. It's the definition of found family and it just warms my heart. I think that's all. I have a lot of thoughts, but I try to keep it as concise as possible. I would love to hear from other Of Like Means Death fans. I know that emotions are running high online, especially after Izzy's death, which again I do have a lot of thoughts about. But please do let me know how you found the second season and what your hopes are for the third one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!